Today marks the official launch of Synmatch AI.
Con, glad to be here with you today. How are you doing?
Hi Felix, thanks so much. I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, fantastic, absolutely. Why are we meeting today actually?
I think we have something very exciting to announce. So today marks the official launch of Synmatch AI, which is our internal recruiting tool that we're now providing to our customers as well.
Very exciting stuff.
So tell me about the origin of Synmatch at WorkMotion.
Yeah, I would say this goes way back actually. So when I have pitched WorkMotion to potential customers, I've always told them that we are enabling companies to hire remote talent in other countries. And the first question I always got back was, okay, so you do also help with recruitment? And I always had to kind of decline that question because what we actually do at WorkMotion is more the implementation part. Okay, so typically our customers already come with the talent, and then we help them onboard the person, hire the person. We take care of payroll and everything, but not so much with sourcing, not with recruitment. And Synmatch changes this now. Synmatch changes everything. Now I'm finally able to tell these people that we are also helping with recruitment.
Yeah, I think that's also what excited me so much about this new role that I took on to develop this product, because I faced as a hiring manager this same problem myself. Is like, okay, where do I even start if I'm looking for somebody abroad for a very specialized profile? I used to hire a lot in sales, and actually it's kind of hard to distinguish what is a great talent from an average talent abroad. And that's why we started to develop this also in-house. So the cool thing is we first started very low level, and we implemented first MVP, which we tested ourselves. We hired great people abroad doing payroll, so payroll specialists, sales development representatives, go-to-market engineers. So we tested it ourselves by going out there, sourcing candidates, and then vetting them through the tool, which we then named Synmatch.
Yeah, I think going back to the thesis, what we are enabling companies to do is to also look for talent in rather untapped talent markets, right? So what we've been very successful with at WorkMotion, as also your first customer basically, is finding people in countries like Egypt, for example. Yeah, Egypt is a great talent market with lots of very, very smart and highly educated people. But for a German company, it's not that easy necessarily to find talent there. They don't even know where to start, basically. And it's also more difficult to compare talent against each other, right? So in a talent market that you're familiar with, like in Germany, you can pick up on certain signals from the CV, you know, like the reputable universities, you know, like who are the good previous employers and so on. In Egypt, this is more difficult. So we always thought, okay, we need to provide these companies, our customers, with a solution to source the best talent in other markets, especially in the untapped ones. And that's what we did successfully at WorkMotion as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did very well for this internally, and then also wanted to provide this to our customers. I think when it comes to remote work, it's still very attractive to many people abroad to work, for example, for Western European or US companies.
100%.
From their home office, because you can have we have a great work-life balance. You can adjust your flexible work hours according to your schedule. So, and you're still earning quite a lot compared to the local standards, because remote jobs tend to pay higher than on-site jobs in the respective countries. So it's very attractive to work remotely. And this obviously, as a hiring company, as a hiring manager, if you go abroad and source for the talent, then you get tons of applications. You're just increasing the talent market that you just talked about. You're increasing your potential talent pool that you're tapping into enormously. That also comes at a cost. So you have a lot more unqualified applications as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we really wanted to make sure that you do and develop an efficient tool that actually sorts out and gives you the best talent in that talent pool abroad.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? So getting more applications, first of all, is very exciting for a lot of hiring managers because they struggle with filling roles locally. So they're like, okay, that's great. However, if I was a hiring manager, I could also be skeptical and say, hey, okay, maybe a lot of these applications are actually unqualified, or it would be difficult for me to sort out which are the good applications, which are the best applications, right? But we also solved that with Synmatch.
Yeah, totally right, Felix. So what we did here was really to develop a tool that doesn't give you just more and more applications, but the right kind of profiles that you want to interview for. Also in a remote setup, there's a lot of scammers, fakers. There's a lot of AI that you currently use in order to optimize your application. So previously, from what you said, the CV was a big signal in your application process. Now that many candidates actually use AI and chatbots in order to optimize their application, they just take their CV, they take the job advert, and they let the chatbot optimize their resume according to this specific job. So on paper, everybody looks great. So you need to invest time in order to actually validate what's written in the CV. And that obviously makes screening efforts and sourcing and vetting efforts way bigger and also more complicated. So because you need to invest more time. So we said like, okay, maybe there's a way that we can reduce the screening time massively and at the same time validate what's actually written in the CV so that we can make sure that you can hire with confidence anywhere in the world. So what we did and what we implemented was that we go out, we source candidates in all geographical areas, all countries that are relevant, where we say this is a great hiring country for those positions. We take them in and then we do a human review of the application. We do an AI assessment using AI-powered interviews. And that was really innovative because it's very pioneering work. Not many companies yet do that, and some are hesitant actually in order to implement that.
Yeah, to be honest, I was also hesitant myself in the beginning. So when we launched Synmatch internally and tried to hire the first internal roles with that, I said to you, okay, let me try this myself. I want to do an interview, right? And I did it, and it felt surprisingly natural and basically removed all of my concerns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We see candidates react this and that way towards this whole process. Right now, we can confidently say that candidates are accepting this by now. It's becoming more or less like a standard. If you look into the numbers, like about 1,200 candidates gave us feedback on the process, and we scored an average of 4.2 out of 5 in a candidate satisfaction score. So even though there's a high reluctancy by hiring managers and even talent acquisition managers to use more AI in the recruiting process, candidates are actually fine to go through an AI-powered process. It's important that there is a human validation process in all of this. So there is a human step after each one of the recruiting stages. We have a human that basically verifies and reviews the application and the profile. It's also necessary because the EU AI Act is coming up. We need to be compliant, and as the most compliant provider in the market, we said like, okay, let's be safe, let's use AI, let's leverage what we can there, but always make sure that humans are in the loop.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, right, on paper everybody looks great, so you have to go a level deeper, you have to interact with the candidates. And yeah, I mean, you have a choice of either hiring a recruitment team of 1,000 recruiters, talking to all your candidates on a daily basis, or you do it with AI.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to see how the hiring managers get so much more efficient that they say like, look, I just get 5 to 10 candidates pre-qualified, really according to what I'm looking for per week into my inbox, into the tool. I can review them. I can invite them into a human interview and go through this human interview process with the hiring company. And the cool thing is that we check so many things beforehand for the hiring manager. That means we validate, does the person even exist? So we do an identity check.
Important. Yeah.
It's really important, especially in a remote setup. You can see right now there's a lot of viral posts going out there, how easy it is to fake your application through a job application. And by using AI a lot, that's why we have implemented the human review in every step. And the cool thing is there that we not only check the identity, we do what's called a KYC process. You might know this for the client side. So for customers, it's very common you do this in a B2B setup. But we also do this now in recruiting. So a know your candidate
Know your
process.
candidate instead of know your customer. Yeah.
Exactly. And this know your candidate is certain things that you check. It's like, does the person exist? Is the identity is verified? Does the person have a work permit for the country that they look forward to work from? And then as a hiring manager, once you approve the profile on the platform, that it not only fits the criteria, but the person has also been validated according to what they have given us in their resume, and they're ready to interview. That's very important. So you don't get ghosted from candidates, and also the candidates don't get ghosted from the hiring managers. So it's a very lean setup.
So how does this work in general? Let's say I'm a company and I'm looking for an English-speaking BDR. I don't mind where they are from as long as they're a super strong BDR and they speak English.
Yeah, I think it's a great position. So any kind of customer-facing roles or even also tech roles are very great to source with Synmatch. So the cool thing is now you have broadened your talent pool. So you need to make a decision which time zone this person should sit in, which country you prefer, what's the budget. So there's an extensive briefing that you give us through the platform. So we do a job intake, what we call. So you give us the job title, the requirements, what you're offering the person, what the benefits you're looking to give to the person, and then also what kind of skills and traits you're looking in that person. And then from there, we develop a job description together, we develop a job advert together, and then we go out and according to the criteria that you have given us, we start to source these people. And then once they are sourced, we do an AI screening of the CV, and then somebody looks at the profile and says like, okay, this is a valid CV, this is a valid application, and then we invite this person to an AI-powered interview. So it's funny that first you said you were skeptical about how to use AI in the recruiting process. Right now, we decided that candidates do a voice-only interview because they didn't know whether it's supposed to smile at an avatar.
With an avatar,
yes or no. So we said like, okay, let's pause the avatar for now, even though it's a great technology. We went back to, okay, let's have a really interactive voice-based conversation with the candidate. But it's still an exam situation. So it's not that you can take as long as you want. It's really in a certain time period, you need to get on the record answers to the questions that eventually the client has given us. So you as a customer basically define 5 questions that you want to have the candidate to have answered before you even talk to them, in order to actually validate the language skills and to validate what's written in the CV. And then based on that, we give you the CV, we give you all the hard facts, everything in the platform, the profile is there. And additionally, and that's the beauty of the platform, we give you a transcript of the first interview. And with that, you can make a way more in-depth, thorough decision on whether you want to interview that person, yes or no. Does it make sense for you as a hiring manager to invest time? The good things for the candidates and why they love it is actually they get instant feedback. So how often do candidates go through application processes and never hear back?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So the problem is that in this whole process, currently something is broken in a way that we tend to not give enough feedback on where people can improve and how to move forward. And the AI-powered interview instantly gives you feedback on what you did great and where you need to improve for next processes. So the candidate and the hiring company have the same kind of information that they get in this whole process. And based on that, you can make the decision to say like, look, let's interview that person, and that person is ready to interview in a country where you want to onboard. For example, the BDR that you just talked about.
Yeah. And just a question from a candidate perspective, because I think that's interesting what you just said. Do you also get practice interviews?
Yeah, you can. You can basically every job that's posted on the Synmatch platform you can take as a practice interview. Although you will only get to the stage that you can do the AI interview if you
qualify.
if you qualify,
Yeah.
if you do a pre-qualification. So, but for example, we have many SDR, AE, BDR roles on our platform. So whenever you fit the high-level criteria, you can go on and have these AI-powered interviews and actually practice through that your interview skills.
Yeah. And you said earlier that on paper everybody looks the same these days because people are using AI to create their CVs, AI to create their cover letters. Nobody asks for a cover letter anymore because of that. How do we feel about people using AI during the interview? Don't you think that there are people that are kind of like cheating in that sense?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. And yes, we see that many times that candidates try to leverage using AI during the interviews. The thing is that we are able to detect that through several means. One is, for example, it gets recorded and a human looks at the profile and looks at the interview itself in order to validate, okay, is there a second person in the room? We've seen all sorts of things. So people trying to mimic that it's their voice, even it's not, or a second person sitting next to them, all sorts of things where you say like, okay, that's not the right way in order to apply for a job. But what we intentionally do is to give candidates the confidence to use AI in the right way. So not during that interview, but in order to practice, for example, for these kinds of questions. Although in the interview, it's a very closed, almost like a simulation of a normal human interview. So you get recorded and then you are able to submit it. You can edit some of these answers afterwards, but only to a certain degree, because we still don't want the candidate to just like say one thing and then write something totally different once they have used a chatbot in between. So overall, we try to minimize this effort a lot.
Makes sense, yeah. Yeah, and today is launch day of Synmatch. Where do we go from here? What's our ambition level for this?
I think the ambitions are very big. So we've tested it internally. It worked great. So we have a proof of concept. We scaled it to the customers of WorkMotion. And now we're scaling it to any customer that might be using it, whether it's for their own entities abroad, where they do not have a dedicated recruiting team, for example. So any company can use it where they don't have the internal recruiting resources in order to do the sourcing and vetting themselves. It can make small to medium-sized businesses across the world way more efficient, that the hiring manager is actually way more involved in a way in the candidate selection, because instead of them having to go through many candidate profiles themselves, they can just choose 5 or 10 that they want to interview with. So overall, I think we will take that to the next level. So we'll scale it across different kind of regions. We'll scale it across different kind of positions. And then the way I think this will go is that the AI-powered interview is just the beginning. So we see that the recruiting industry is in a transition currently, because the way we have done it in the past and up until now, the candidates did not have that much AI at their disposal. So how can we actually distinguish a great, moderate, and a strong candidate from each other in the process? So it will become more modular. So eventually the CV and the resume in the long term will become meaningless. What we will do way more in the future is to actually test people on the job using AI, for example. So you can think of it, and many companies are doing this already, adding some sort of gamification in there. So just on the record, having candidates play certain games in order to evaluate their decision-making process, for example. What are skills that candidates need in a remote setup, right? And then test against these kinds of traits and these kinds of skills in this whole process. So the way I imagine this to go, AI-powered interviews are just the beginning. So there's way much more we can do in the future in order to assess talent accurately and less it's going to be less about CV and resume, and it's going to be more about actually skills of the people in the job.
Cool, makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how I see Synmatch AI to go. But what about you, Felix? Where do you see WorkMotion going in the future?
Yeah. I have a big thesis on Synmatch, and that's why we invested quite a lot in this product. I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to remote work at the moment. I think remote work is for sure here to stay, and it's only going to grow. The reason I'm so confident about this is that more companies will have to adapt remote work in the future. Right now, we are living in this kind of like tech bubble where remote work is a bit more the standard compared to other industries. But you have the German Mittelstand, you have so many other SMB companies out there which will have to go remote one day. Why? Because of a shortage of talent. Yeah? They're all missing talent to fill roles quickly. It's costing them real money. And what remote hiring allows you in the end to do are two things in my view. One is getting access to top talent much more quickly. And the second one is technically also getting access to talent at a lower cost. Yeah? So we've mentioned, for example, Egypt as a hiring market before. It's a market with a lot of available talent, very different compared to Germany. And of course, salary levels are significantly lower than they are in Germany. And if you want to compete as a successful company in Germany, as a startup, as a scale-up, as a German Mittelstand company, it doesn't matter. You have to fill your roles quickly, because if you're not doing that, others will do it, and you will lose in the end. You will lose to your competition. People and having the right talent in your company still is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think you are really right about this, and we can see it from the feedback that we get from customers. So I have conversation with founders in small, medium-sized startups where they have maybe 50 employees, and they need to get in the right people at the right time in the fastest way possible, but they don't even have the resources right now. So a lot is depending on the hiring managers themselves in order to do all of these efforts in a remote setup. So I think now with a combination of actually not only being able to find the talent for them abroad, but also compliantly employ them abroad, we're able to give them a great value for money in order to scale their recruitment offers.
Yeah. And if people say, look, AI is changing everything right now and the shortage of talent is solved because of AI, that's not true in my view. AI is shifting the dynamics a little bit. What's happening is that companies are competing even more aggressively for the top AI talent, meaning AI talent in the sense of people that are developing an AI, but also people that are applying AI. And if you're a normal company, I would say, you will find it very hard to attract the best AI talent right now, because you're competing with the big brands like Anthropic, like Paloa, and other great companies. And I would strongly recommend to you to look abroad, basically make your talent pool bigger, look at other countries, because there is very capable AI talent out there. It might not just be where your headquarters are. It might be in another country, it might be in another city. And finding the talent, that's the critical part, and that's what you can do with Synmatch now.
Yeah, and I'm fully with you. The jobs are not going to get less, they're just going to shift.
Yeah.
So what we can now see on the platform are way more new jobs, like for example, a forward deployed engineer. Those are jobs or roles that haven't even existed 6 months ago. And we see this now that more and more companies are looking for different kind of roles, even though it might be a similar position than before, but with a way different focus right now. And you're fully right.
Yeah.
So you're competing with a lot of big companies internally, and you might not be able to afford them. So you might want to look outside your home country in order to find more suitable talent at a budget that you as a founder can actually afford.
Yeah, exactly, because we've emphasized the conversation so far on finding the talent, but I mentioned the second aspect, which is cost savings, right? So let's just talk a little bit about this right now, because let's talk about BDRs, right? How much do you pay for a BDR in Germany, let's say OTE?
I would say an on-target earnings, so combining base and variable pay,
Yeah.
you're looking at least something between 80 to 100,000 euros.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Yeah. I think if you look at countries like Spain or Italy, you can deduct at least 20% from that. You will find very, very strong BDRs at like 60K, maybe even 50K. If you look at Portugal, if you look at Hungary, Romania, you can probably go even lower, or Greece, you will be at like 30K OTE or like 30 to 40K OTE for BDR. If you look at Egypt that we've talked about, you will go even lower. You will find great BDRs, perfect English speakers, for like 10 to 20K OTE a year.
Yeah, it's really impressive how you can broaden your talent pool by just going remotely and leverage these cost savings also. So what I realized a lot is that even candidates are willing to take a lower salary if they're able to work remotely and enjoy the flexibility of the work. So it's not even that everybody, this new generation, is just looking for the highest salary, but they're also looking for more flexible employment arrangements, such as remote work. So even there, you might find a great person that's speaking your native language abroad, which is willing to take a pay cut just in order to be able to work remotely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so we talked about the really, really strong benefits of using Synmatch AI for sourcing candidates. How much does it cost?
Yeah, it's cool that you're asking this question. So for WorkMotion customers, I can tell you, it's free of charge.
Wow.
So you don't have any recruiting fee next to your normal WorkMotion employer of record fee. And if you decide to onboard that candidate in your own entity, you pay 10% of the gross annual salary as a one-off fee. And that is way lower than what usual traditional recruiting agency would charge you, which is more like 25% of the gross annual salary you would pay up front. And you wouldn't even know if the talent is great or not. You would need to test that. So it's a great tool in order to scale your recruiting efforts, whether it's remote or whether it's in your own entity in the respective country. And for me, I think it's exciting. I want to thank you for the trust that you have put in me in order to drive this project forward. And for me, it's going to be really exciting to launch this and finally show it to the world.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I can give that back to you. Thanks for building what you've built so far, Con. You can be really, really proud of yourself. Synmatch is a fantastic solution. I'm really looking forward to opening this up now to so many companies around the world. And let's get going from here. Great to talk to you today.
Thanks.